Hello, my name is Jose Banda, and today I will be talking about domestic violence. The main topics of today we will be discussing are about why domestic violence isn't just towards women and how seriously it should be taken. Since most reports of domestic violence usually ends in a tragedy, it's kind of sad. First, overall, we should know that domestic violence can happen to anyone, no matter how strong, how old, um, or what gender the person may be. They could still be a victim of domestic violence, even if they seem perfectly fine. Also, we should know about domestic violence and how domestic violence is about when someone is trying to control or overall have power over the other person by by using tactics that could involve physical activity, mentally abusing them, emotionally, financially, or other manners, just to overall have control of the other person. Now, as I have stated before, domestic violence may happen to anyone, but in most cases, it does happen to women, and they do have it worse than others, as statistics have shown that in America, about one third of all women deaths throughout the year are caused by domestic violence from either being from the husband, an ex-husband, or an ex-boyfriend, or a current boyfriend. So yeah, another factor to add towards domestic violence being very common is that this also does tend to happen towards men. Now, this doesn't just happen towards women. As I have said, it can happen to anyone. But in most cases, for men, they don't report it because, I mean, overall, a man would probably feel very humiliated, like they'd be humiliated by others, or they'd feel ashamed of themselves for not being able to stop it themselves, and just overall beat themselves up. So they just wish to keep all that abuse to themselves and just overall not contact anyone. So this does add up with the women being abused. So makes it pretty frequent, very common. And I mean, also men are being treated as they don't have any feelings, or like they should hold their own feelings, and they're men. So I mean, like nothing bad would really happen to them, right? As people would say. Now that isn't the case, since a man can be as hurt just as much as a woman can in domestic violence. But I mean, overall, most of the time it isn't as common. Now, one thing that I would say is to help everyone and to come into a more common ground so everyone can understand is the best way to help someone is to learn about domestic violence, because then you can treat, like, you know how to take care of the situation, what to do if somebody else is put in that situation or yourself. And I mean, you could also be a victim, or you may know someone who's a victim, and you could overall um, just know how to be around that person. Um, so I mean, yeah, if people would do things like this, and like it would be more frequently, and people would learn about domestic violence, I mean, you could be saving a life, you could be helping others, and you could help people escape from that situation before it escalates, or if sadly it has already escalated, and you could still save them, because as stated before, it usually ends up in a tragedy, meaning death. So it's best to, yeah. Um, but I mean, yeah. Uh, Also, if this happened, I believe women's deaths rate from their intimate partner from domestic violence would 100% go down by a lot, and the society we live in would be a lot more safe for others. Also, for children who are growing up like this, like seeing that their parents are fighting like this, and like if you could save them, they'd be able to grow up in a nice environment. So, I mean, in the end, it's best to leave the relationship if symptoms of domestic abuse are happening. That would include if the abuser is being aggressive, violent, even if they are under a substance, because it could be happening pretty frequently then. Also, ask for help rather than trying to fix it on your own, because, as usually said, it ends up horribly. And yeah, I gathered all my information from Finley Lala Domestic Violence Services Encyclopedia of Diversity and Social Justice, Freezy Irene H., and Maureen and C. McCuh, Domestic Violence Intimate Partner and Wife Battering, Knight Charlotte Domestic Violence Dictionary of Probation and Offender Management, and Stenko Betsy Domestic Violence um, Dictionary of Policy. So thank you for listening to my speech and have a great rest of your day.